We are joined by Chicago Cubs infielder Miles Mastrobuoni on this fun Friday show. Tune in.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Sam Older. Please support the show by following on your preferred audio platform, and you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We are lifelong fans taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Welcome into the show. I hope everybody is having a great Friday. We have a great treat for you today, as Miles Mastrobuoni will be joining us in a little bit. I recorded that part of the show earlier on Thursday, so I'll be putting that in here soon. I just wanted to do a few minutes solo on the show. I don't have much today. I thought Matt and I really had a successful week kind of breaking down David Ross and Bellinger and how I'm kind of not over the way things are. So I think really quickly, I'm just going to give you guys a playoff update because this is a baseball show. And then I will pass it over to Miles and we will get to that interview. As it stands currently, I'm recording Thursday at about 5:30 Central Time. So the Minnesota Twins and Texas Rangers are going to meet in the ALCS. That is set. That should be a pretty fun series. I'll definitely watch some of that, right? AL West rivals, Dusty Baker, Bruce Bochy. That's a fun series. Old school managers, same state. That's going to be a really fun series with tensions being very high. Obviously, the Astros defending world champs, probably the most successful team of the last 6-7 years in baseball, versus the Rangers, who famously haven't really been that close since, their disaster of a World Series loss to the Cardinals in 2011. So, I'm really excited for that series. And then in the National League, to no surprise, the Arizona Diamondbacks easily swept the Los Angeles Dodgers. And one takeaway I did have, and I admittedly haven't watched much of the DSs, but I've been keeping up with it. One takeaway I did have is, I come on the show all the time, and in big moments, I got on Dansby Swanson for not delivering and Marcus Stroman for not delivering, and rightfully so. And I think Dansby Swanson, especially if he came on the show, would echo that he didn't perform well enough because he said it himself. But what you realize when you watch other teams is it happens to everybody. And even though it was a 3-game series, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, who are the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball. When I say 1-2 punch, I mean literally they hit first and second in the order. I know Acuna and Olsen as well, but I'll take Betts and Freeman. And Freddie Freeman is a guy that his profile is hitting in the postseason. They went 1 for that entire series, and in games 2 and 3, they had opportunities. The back end of the Dodgers order was getting on base. Couple guys on for Betts, couple guys on for Freeman, and they continuously did not deliver. And it was just kind of a reminder to me that this happens in baseball. Even the best guys in the absolute world slump at the wrong times. It's not a moment thing for Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts has won 2 World Series. Freddie Freeman's won a World Series. So just kind of a reminder sometimes for myself and for us that we get so locked in, pun intended, locked on the Cubs. You realize around the league that this does happen. Guys slump at the wrong times. And then Philly, they lead 2-1 heading into tonight's game, Thursday night's game, to try and close that out. That's going to be a great one at Citizens Bank. Spencer Strider, Ranger Suarez. If the Braves win, it's 2-2 back to Atlanta with Max Fried on the bump. If the Phillies win, it's a Philly-Arizona NLCS. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I think the rest we're gonna take to Miles. I really hope you guys enjoyed this interview. I thought it was really, really thoughtful on his part, just in terms of his answers. He did a really nice job kind of breaking down his perspective on things like hitting and analytics and the team itself. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and it was very fun to do. Before we get to Miles, this episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world with over 5 million active users in 2022. At Sleeper, it's not just about sports. It's about building personal connections and lasting memories. Sleeper is now offering up to 100 times payout for up to 8 pick contests. Choose as many as 8 players that you like and pick more or less on your favorite baseball stats like home runs, strikeouts, hits, and more. Use promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms for use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. We are back here on Locked On Cubs with a very special guest today. He was one of the Cubs' hottest hitters down the stretch in September. I owe our mutual friend Adam a nice dinner on me for making this happen, so thank you, Adam. We have Cubs infielder Miles Mastrobuoni. Miles, thank you so much for coming on, man. How are you doing? Where are you at? And I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Appreciate you guys having me on. And I'm out here in Jersey enjoying the nice fall weather, probably very similar out there in Chicago, getting some golf in and stuff before workouts start ramping up.
It is going to rain for 100 straight hours this weekend in Chicago.
In Chicago?
Yeah.
Well, you might have to come out to Jersey then.
Yeah. It is. My softball game already got canceled tonight. It's not great, but yeah, really excited to have you on. I think the first thing I want to ask you is kind of off what I was saying in the intro. You finished the year really strong, had a tremendous second half of the season, and I think the easy question to ask you would be, hey, did you make any adjustments or did you do anything differently at the plate? But really, when you dig into it, like I did last night, the first half of the season kind of was just really unlucky for the most part. When you look at your batted ball stats and all that stuff. So what do you explain? What do you attribute to your second half to? Was it more just the norm, or did you do anything differently at the plate?
No, to be honest with you, didn't really do too much different. Like you said, the beginning of the season, everybody wants to get off to a good start, right? If you're able to get off to a good start, you can kind of maintain the goals that you're trying to accomplish. But when you start off kind of tough or start off kind of rough, like then you start maybe pressing a little bit and you're trying to do things. But I think, like you kind of just said, I think I sat down and about a month in the season is like you look at my at bats and stuff like that. Like I was hitting balls hard. I just couldn't. I couldn't find green grass. I couldn't find a hole. I couldn't nub a ball over the shortstop. I couldn't. So that comes with it, right? Leading into the second half, maybe I caught myself searching a little bit. Not really looking in and being like, you know what, you are hitting balls hard, and you just got to kind of stick with it. And with the role that I was kind of in, you don't see as much time, so it's hard to trust some things when you get in there. And then when you're coming down the stretch, I just every single day, like I was in the field, I was just getting my work in, preparing for that time in case the team needed me, whenever the case may be. And things. I had some balls fall for me towards the end of the season, so that was a good feeling for sure.
Yeah, and you said a lot of things that I'm gonna get to with later questions because there's so much there about your role and how hard it is to lock in every day when you're not getting consistent at bats and all that stuff. The one kind of negative question I have to ask is obviously the season didn't end the way anybody wanted it to end, right?
Sure.
And down the stretch of the season, as I said, I mean, you were pretty much an everyday guy when righties were on the mound. Is there anything, we heard so much stuff from the outside, and I know you can't give us much, but from the outside about fatigue and what's going on down the stretch. Is there anything you noticed in the clubhouse down the stretch, or was it just a situation where, you know what, Sam, we just didn't play our best ball at the right time?
Yeah, I think it was. I think maybe a little bit of both. I think. And everybody deals with it down the stretch, right? Like It's not just us. Every team's dealing with fatigue, and guys are grinding coming down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? You're just not fresh. That's everybody's case, right? I would say we were a little bit streaky during this year, probably a
Yeah.
little more streaky than we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think, like you just said, I think we ran into a little bit of a gauntlet going down the stretch with some good teams. And, we know we can play with those teams, though. I think we showed that. The
Yeah.
outcome might not have showed it, but
Right.
I think, Dansby said this kind of all year, Nico, Hap, like, we'll put this team up against anybody. Like, we got some guys that can fight on this team. And,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and, we were saying the same thing in the locker room. We were bummed, and, things just didn't end the way that we thought it was going to with how well we were kind of playing there in the end of September.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, that's how it goes, man. It's so funny. We have a show, we talk about it every single day, right? It's a daily podcast. So you could imagine the overreactions to every win and every loss. So, when I talk to a player, it always kind of makes me realize, just outside of the obvious, having no talent whatsoever, why I wasn't a professional athlete, because you have to have that mindset. All right. So I want to transition into a question I think you're perfect for, because this is a nerdy question. Some questions I ask are for the audience. Some are for me. This one's for me. So you came from Tampa, right? And I am not a get off my lawn guy. I understand that analytics has a huge role in the game of baseball, and there's a place for it. My issue with analytics is it doesn't account enough for situations, right? So if the Cubs are up 14-2 in the ninth and you come up and you hit a grand slam off a position player, that shouldn't count to your WOBA, your WRC plus, all that stuff, as much as you come up, you pinch hit in the ninth inning off Devin Williams and you hit a game tying base hit up the middle, right? Like, those two things should not. One of those things is way more important because it's about winning games, right, Mastro? Are we on a nickname level yet? Can I call you Mastro?
Go for it. I love it. Yeah.
Those two things aren't equal. And you're such a perfect example because you're a guy that has bat to ball skills. You're a guy that was always in the lineup when you were up with the team. You always faced the toughest righties, right? Mitch Keller's on the mound, Mastro's in, right? The nasty guys. So my question to you is how do you, are you an analytic guy, or are you somebody that's like, hey, I'm not really worried at the end of the year where my OPS lies or anything like that at the big league level, because I know my role is to hit good pitching, to put the bat on the ball, and get clutch hits when contact's needed. Like, how do you view that kind of debate?
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it perfectly. Like, there's 100% a part in this game for analytics, right? Like, it's going to help the player. It's going to help, the staff, everything. Like, for you to kind of look at some stuff and, see where things might be lacking, but I think also at the same time, like, I don't think you need to dive like too hard into this. Like, I think for me, like, as a player, I'm a little more old school. I'm all about, like,
winning,
job done, winning, right? Get the job done. Like, doesn't matter how it looks. Like, just flick a ball into the outfield, get on base, right?
Yeah,
like,
right. Of course.
You get in the plus count. It's time to do some damage. Like, let's get my swing off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As the player, I think, like I said, there's a spot for it, but I don't think it takes in the human aspect.
Sure.
As a player, right? Like, going out in front of 40,000 fans every single day, like, that's there's an effect there for sure, right?
Right.
Crowd roars, like,
bases loaded, 2 outs, standing ovation. You got a full
100%.
count, right? Like, that stuff matters.
Like, pitching wise, if you're going 2 days straight, 3 days straight, like, your stuff's just not going to be as elite as if you were rested and this and that. So sometimes I don't think analytics take in that human aspect like I talked about, but I do believe that you can use analytics to help you get better and to help the team win, and certain matchups, depending on the situation, could definitely help for sure.
Yeah, and this is such a, I don't want this to turn into a nerdy conversation, but it's so interesting and it's so cool to hear it from somebody like yourself, because, like, you're the perfect example of where analytics could be deceiving. Cause it's like, if you look at your AAA numbers, which we're going to get to in a second, are ridiculous. So like those are going to look great. But like when you look at your final numbers with the Cubs this year, that doesn't tell the full picture. I mean, you're the first half of the season, you're not playing, and most of the time you're in the lineup. Like I think a perfect example, and then I'll move on from this. We have an ad read anyway, is there was a game towards the end of the year. You guys were playing Pittsburgh at home. And the first game, you guys blew them out. And I think Canario hit a grand slam. He had a huge game. And then that night we recorded the show, and everyone's like, "Hey, Canario," and this is no knock against Canario. It's just Canario's got to play every day. And I said, guys, Keller's on the mound tomorrow. You're going to see Mastrobuoni in there because of the matchups, right? Like that's just how it works. And analytics doesn't take into account that a lot of your at bats this year came against really good right-handed pitchers. You know what I mean? Like that's a part of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that's kind of that human element that I kind of say is like,
right.
When guys are hot, like I think any hitter would kind of tell you, like, it doesn't really matter who you kind of face. Like when I'm feeling good, I step in that box and like I'm spewing confidence. I know that guy can't get me out type deal. And like, it doesn't matter who I'm facing. And I think that's the kind of part that like I'm kind of talking about there, where like, you see it kind of all over the league, right? Like you see match heavy and this and that, and like it's good. Like they're trying to put people in the best position to succeed. But when you see guys that are hot, right? Like and this is anybody. Sometimes you got to roll with them and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And test that. And like, all right, like we put him against a guy that we usually don't. Let's see what he does,
Right.
Like,
we posted a graphic yesterday. I think the Cubs had like 130 something different lineups this year, which is about the norm. The only team that really didn't have many was the Braves. And, that kind of speaks for itself. But, but yeah, no, that's really interesting. That's really good stuff. We're going to go over a couple more questions with Miles Mastrobuoni coming up next. But first, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. October baseball is back, and you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to create your new account. Then you can get in on the action in the first pitch until the final out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will win the game. And if you don't want to wait the whole game to get a W, predict what will happen the next at bat with quick bets. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step up to the plate this postseason with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network and Major League Baseball. We are back here with Cubs infielder Miles Mastrobuoni. Really good stuff already about analytics and perspective. And I have one more kind of question off of that, and then I have some simple stuff from the fans going off of the mental part of the game, which I think you've already done a really good job painting a picture. You bounce back a lot, back and forth this year, right? Iowa Cubs. Talk about, take us through what the mindset is on that, where it's a situation where if you're hitting well, it's a numbers game. I might go 2 for 3 with a walk and have a big day, and it doesn't matter. The next day I might be going to Iowa. How do you stay locked in at your task, and how does that go?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 ways you can go about it, right? And when stuff like that happens, like you're always going to be frustrated, right? Like,
sure,
there's no kind of easy way to put that, but like you can get frustrated and you can let it affect you, or you can spin it and be like, you know what? All right, like I'm going to go down there and just get my work in. Like this is the time for me. Like I'm going to play every single day, and let's kind of hone my skills in where when I get back up there, I got these simple cues that I can go to that just keep me consistent, right? I think with my game, like when you talk about the analytics, like I'm probably not going to shoot numbers off the chart. Like you won't look at my exit velos, distant, whatever the case may be. Like that's probably not going to jump off the chart at you, but I pride myself in consistency. I think, you kind of look at my stats coming up through like right around 300 every year. I pride myself in that. I try and hold myself up to a standard. So like when those kind of adversity and those things happen through the season, like you got to kind of find the good in it, right? Like I'm going to go down there and play. I'm going to hone in what I need to hone in. And like when I come back up here, like it's go time now.
Right. Yeah. And going off that, I only got two more for you. The numbers at AAA, I mean, they're really kind of eye popping. I mean, I knew of them, but not until I did my research for the interview. I mean, I didn't realize. I mean, the OBP this year. I mean, I think I don't know how many games it was. It wasn't a ton of games, but 450 at AAA this year at Iowa. The year before, when you were with the Rays organization, it was, you hit 300. What is it about that? Is it a pitching thing? Is it more you're just more comfortable because you're going to be playing? I mean, because those numbers are, I mean, they're pretty eye popping. I mean, the OPS was like
Thanks,
over
yeah.
900.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, honestly, you don't try and change too much, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like, my mindset's the same. I think it's just when you get to the big leagues, you're playing against the best in the
Yeah,
world,
that's all it
like,
is. Right.
these guys, we
2-0 splitters.
exactly. Like, you're not getting many when you get in that advantage counts, they're still throwing their best pitch at you, their
Right.
slider, their changeup, whatever the case may be,
Even if you're hitting ninth.
Exactly.
Right.
They know, like, they know it too as well. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's in the big leagues for a reason. Like, nobody gets up here because they just know somebody or this like for you to get to the big leagues, like it's a big deal. You got to be really talented and
Right.
you got to do things. There's got to be a couple things in your game that you do really well that stick out. And
Right.
we kind of joke about it in the locker room is like when you have a kind of a tough day or whatever the case may be, like, yo, that guy drives the Lambo to the field too, like he's getting paid. And unfortunately, like, you're pissed off. Like, you want to get a hit every single time you go up. But like,
Sure.
when you look at the bigger picture, like that guy's getting paid as well. So, you're just trying to do what you find things to just help simplify, I think, at this level. And, just leave it all out there. I try and just leave it all out there whenever I go out and play and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Two quick ones for you, and then we'll get you out of here. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.
These are from fans. These are from the listeners. What is your most comfortable position if you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing shortstop a lot, so
Yeah.
definitely comfortable over there. And then I probably played a lot of second coming up.
Yeah.
If I dove kind of in, I've probably got most of my time at second base.
Yeah.
So I would probably say those two. I'd probably say second over short, just because in the later years that's what I've been playing.
And unfortunately, those spots are pretty much taken.
Yeah, for sure. But
third base, you looked very comfortable, though. I
no,
thought.
thanks. Yeah, I didn't see too much time throughout my minor league career, kind of coming up. So I was really pleased with the way I moved over there and kind of adapted to that position, because even though it's still in the infield, like it's a different position. It's a different position over there. So I was really pleased with the way I went over there, and
Yeah,
I
I think
learned that
so.
position in the big leagues, and I thought I did pretty well and picked it pretty well. So I got a lot of time in the outfield coming up with the Rays, because I had a similar situation, just with a lot of prospects with the Rays in the infield, and they're heavy in the middle infield. So I had a lot of time from 2018 through 22 spending time in the outfield. So to pick one, I'd probably say second. Short falling right behind it.
Yeah. Is that something? Sorry, I'm adding this in, but is that something in the off season? Like you're like, okay, Cubs, you got Dansby there, they got Nico there. Obviously, in a pinch, I know I can play those positions. But do you look at like the offseason and look, okay, where are the holes, where are the openings, and then do more work there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll always do something like that. But
Yeah.
I think I'm the kind of guy that's going to be moving around all three. So
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'm going to work all three. I think if you take ground balls at shortstop, you're going to use your feet a lot more than second base. So when I'm doing work in the middle, I'll take them at short just to keep my feet moving. And third base is just a lot of hands. And I'll stay over there for that kind of work and stuff like that. But yeah, you still stay moving around for the most part.
Awesome. Last one for you. And this is a classic fan naive question, but I'm curious the answer to it, because I really don't know. And that is, you run a lot, you steal a lot of bases. When you get on, do you always get assigned to steal, or do you get the green light, or is it both? Like, how does that work? Is it situation dependent?
Situation dependent for sure. I think the first thing that's got to run through your head is this the right time to go?
Yeah. Right.
You can't be, you don't want to risk something if it's not calling for it in the game. But for the most part, the guys that speed, Nico, me, Madrigal, those are kind of guys that they'll turn green lights on. But
Okay.
I got to give my guy Mike Napoli a huge shout out here.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's the man at first base.
I love Mike. Yeah.
He's helped me so much this year.
I'm a huge fan of him.
Yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about him. He helped me a lot. I learned a lot from him this year, just picking up what he sees in pitchers' tendencies and tips. And if there's something that we can go off of, he helped me out big time. So, I always look over at him. If you see me at first base, if ever I peek over at him, I can't give it out, but I'm usually looking, is this a good time to go? Should we do it? Type deal. We're always talking it over and everything. So he's the man over there.
Yeah, no, that's that's great. I've always said that. There's something about Napoli. You could just from watching every game, you could tell that he knows what he's doing. Well, listen, man, we really appreciate you coming on. The invitation is always open. If you ever want to come on, if you ever want to plug something or closer to the season, we obviously hope that you're playing with the Cubs next year. And,
Thank you.
I wish you more success. And this was really good stuff. I learned a lot from your perspective, and we really enjoyed having you on. I know our listeners are going to as well. So
I appreciate it. It was fun, man. We'll have to do it again sometime for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I am going to do my closing real quick. Where is it? There it is. Shout out to the everydayers who are with us all 5 episodes throughout the week. And you could become an everydayer by checking us out each and every weekday. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button for the algorithm. We're also on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast and streaming on Sirius XM. I'm Sam Olber. He's Miles Mastrobuoni, and this is Locked On Cubs.